Hi guys! Welcome to my YouTube channel where you can find videos about finance, gadgets, motivational speech, and vlogs. Every day a new video. Follow us not to miss the videos. 10 Real Transforming Vehicles. Transformers is a franchise that has been around for decades. In 1984, Hasbro introduced the toys brand to the US, according to tformers.com, and the same years the characters from the toys made it onto the screen. In 2007, Michael Bay brought the Autobots and Decepticons into cinemas, bringing nostalgia to those that grew up with the toys and the TV series in the 1980s and 1990s, and exciting the young generation with amazing action movies with cool cars, robots, and awesome special effects. Between 2007 and 2017, there have been 5 movies made, and a spin-off called Bumblebee should premiere later this year. One of the main features of the Transformers franchise is the cars, and the choices that have been made for the movies did not disappoint. It makes sense that Michael Bay chose some of the coolest cars to appear in his movies, because from a lore standpoint, Transformers can scan the vehicles they want to turn into. So when the Autobots are picking their alternate modes to drive around between the fights with Megatron and his Decepticons, which favor military helicopters, fighter jets, or military vehicles, they need something that is cool and represents their personalities. That's why you are unlikely to see an Autobot that disguises as a VW Jetta or a Pontiac Aztek. Nevertheless, some of the cars that Autobots pick to transform into don't seem very suitable for Earth-saving missions. We have compiled a list of 15 coolest cars that Autobots and 2 Decepticons turn into in Transformers movies, and 5 cars that better not reveal that they hide an intelligent robot from another civilization underneath. Audi R8. The Audi R8 is another car in which a Decepticon transforms. We have mentioned Sideways earlier, and that he took the form of the Audi R8 and drove around Shanghai, escaping from RC turned into motorcycles and skids and mudflap in their ice cream truck form. After escaping, Sideways in his Audi R8 form is cut right down the middle by Sideswipe, who jumps into action with his arm-mounted giant swords. According to tfwiki.net, there were licensing issues with Audi and a writer's strike during the filming of Transformers 2. Sideways was at first excluded from the script, but then Audi changed its mind and wanted the R8 featured in the movie, so the short scene with slicing was added. Mercedes-Benz AMG GTR. The awesome Mercedes-AMG GTR appeared in the 5th Transformers movie as the alternate mode of the Autobot drift. The original Mercedes-AMG GTR, which is the most powerful AMG, with a 4.0-liter twin-turbocharged V8, which develops 577 bhp, according to auto.ndtv.com, was presented in a custom green color called AMG Green Hell Magno to highlight its great performance on the Nürburgring, also known as the Green Hell. But the car in the movie received a custom black and red paint job, which looks much more fierce and more suitable for a samurai-like robot. What gives the AMG GTR an extra cool point is that it took over from Bugatti Veyron, into which drift used to transform in the previous movie. Lamborghini Centenario. Also in the 5th movie, we can see the Lamborghini Centenario, a limited edition, only 20 coupes and 20 roadsters built, based on the Aventador that celebrates Ferruccio Lamborghini's 100th birthday. The Centenario is the car into which an Autobot named Hot Rod turns, and it's a huge upgrade for him, because before the Lambo, Hot Rod used to transform into a Citroën DS. The DS is not a bad car, and it was considered to be ahead of its time in 1950s and 1960s. But you have to agree that when it comes to saving the Earth, a Lamborghini Centenario is a much better choice. Pontiac Solstice GXP. Autobot Jazz in the Generation 1 toy version turned into a Martini Racing Porsche 935 race car. For the movie, Michael Bay had to go with a GM car, and he picked a hardtop Pontiac Solstice GXP, which was a weird choice, probably because it seemed like a downsize. After all, many of the cars in the original Transformers were upgraded in the movies to better, faster, and cooler cars, therefore the choice of the Solstice, which is a cheap competitor to the Mazda Miata, doesn't seem very inspired. On the other hand, what was Michael Bay supposed to do? Mercedes-Benz Unimog. Say what you want, but the Mercedes Unimog is one of the greatest cars in the history of moving vehicles. There aren't many cars that look at home in almost any setting. It's solid, rugged and great at off-roading, yet it's small and maneuverable enough to be driven around a city, which is why it's often used to do various jobs by companies providing municipal services. It's highly customizable, and there are 1,000 different versions of the Unimog that can be built, according to Top Gear. One of the versions is a military paramedic vehicle, which was chosen by Hound and Autobot Commando. Ducati 848 Superbike. Female Autobot RC, who appears in Revenge of the Fallen. The second movie in the series is smaller than her fellow Autobots, and she turns into a pink Ducati 848 Superbike. But she actually has the technology that allows her to control 3 bodies and transform into 3 motorcycles at once, the other 2 being a Suzuki B-King and an MV Augusta F4 series. In her motorcycle forms, RC chases through the streets of Shanghai after a Decepticon named Sideways, which turned into an Audi R8, though unsuccessfully. Later, RC assists Ironhide in Egypt during the Operation Firestorm, but 2 of her bodies, including the one that turns into the Ducati 848, are destroyed. Western Star 5700. Western Star 5700 became the new truck that Optimus Prime turned into in the last 2 movies. In the 5th movie, The Last Night, Western Star presented an all-new 5700Z, after the previous version was received very well by not just the viewers of the movie, but by truck buyers as well, according to truckersnews.com. It's understandable why being cast in the Transformers movie helped with the sales of the Western Star 5700, because the trucks that were on set had to perform a number of stunts. Needless to say, they performed them excellently, according to Randy Peters, who had to drive the trucks in the movies, quoted by USA Today. GMC Telluride 4500. Ironhide is the weapons specialist of the Autobots, and for his alternate mode, he picked a custom GMC Telluride 4500 heavy-duty pickup. Probably because it's so massive and fierce-looking, the GMC Telluride 4500 was the least modified car on the set of Transformers, according to vehicle designer Jeff Mann, cited by TruckTrend.com. Among the changes was the replacement of the stock dual rear wheels with custom-made offset steel wheels on the rear axle and the addition of 2 big chrome smokestacks and matching side steps. AutoWeek.com got a chance to drive a GMC Telluride 4500 Ironhide edition, and they pointed out that despite its size, the truck is actually easy to drive. Chevrolet Volt. The Chevrolet Volt was featured in the second Transformers movie, and it represented the car into which an Autobot named Jolt turned. Jolt has 2 electric whips as weapons, so it made sense that the car that he would pick to transform into would be something electric, and we should be thankful that he did not pick a Prius. It's interesting that first sights of the Chevy Volt on Transformers set appeared back in 2008, according to Jalopnik, but sales of the actual car started in mid-2010. So GM used the movie to tease the car, and Michael Bay introduced an entirely new Autobot to fit it in, because Jolt was not present in the older toy lines or TV series. Saline S 281. Let's now switch our attention briefly to the dark side of the Transformers movies and talk about one Decepticon, Barricade, who turns into a Saline S 281, which is a transformed Ford Mustang GT. To make it more aggressive, the Saline S 281 received a push bar and was painted in police colors. Its presence in the movies is interesting because Decepticons in the movies usually prefer to transform into fighter jets, helicopters, and other military vehicles. Therefore, when a Decepticon picked a car, he had to pick one that would match his fellows. Needless to say, the Saline S 281 did a great job at chasing down Sam Witwicky on his mother's pink bicycle in the first movie and then revving its engine at him. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe to our channel before you go. Thank you for watching.